cause of liberty would win. But even 3 or 4 years ago, I would have never predicted that we would have made as much strides as we have now today. So there's every reason for us to be encouraged and to keep the fight, because that's what America is all about. And besides, it's the law of the land, and it can be found in our Constitution, and we demand respect for it.
I'm here to see Ron Paul, and if Ron Paul is elected president, which I hope he is, I'd like to see him do something with the Federal Reserve System. Drastically reduce the size of government spending, get rid of some of the entitlement programs, and a lot of these federal programs that are unconstitutional. See the country return back to the Constitution that it was supposed to be.
This is where we have made our greatest stride for the American people to wake up and realize you can't print papers and money in secrecy by the Federal Reserve and pretend it's a creation of wealth. We have gotten the attention of the American people dealing with our monetary system and the Federal Reserve, and it's time we not only audit the Federal Reserve, but also in due time get rid of the Federal Reserve.
I'm here to support Ron Paul. Just got done voting for him. Very proud to vote for him in the straw poll. And I came here today. He is the first political candidate that I've ever financially supported and been this excited about, because he espouses everything that our forefathers, why this country is here. And I've watched the steady decline of our country, and I'm just so tired of seeing and hearing them say one thing and doing another. I know that Ron Paul will stand behind what he says. He's a man of principle, and he's for freedom.
But we have found out that of all those trillions of dollars created by the Fed, guess what? 1/3 of those funds went to foreign banks. Makes no sense. And we find out that some of those funds actually went to banks partially owned by Gaddafi. Now, if that can make any sense, I don't understand it. But I think people, once they know about this, will be outraged and are outraged at what has been going on with our monetary system.
I'm an oil field diver from Houma, Louisiana. I'm here today to vote for Ron Paul in the straw poll. I like Ron because he's for world peace and a free market.
What the founders taught and what the Constitution says. Don't get involved in entangling alliances. Don't get involved in internal affairs of other nations. Don't get in the business of nation building. And besides, we don't have the money. I say if we have to go to war, debate the issue, declare a war, and win it and get it over with. But it's up to us, it's up to the people, it's up to the Congress, it's up to all of us. And it's up to us to get a president that won't put up with this nonsense and won't go to war so carelessly.
Before Dr. Paul was very apathetic. All politicians, they would say one thing and then do the exact opposite. And when I heard Dr. Paul speaking and looked into him and realized that he actually means what he says, he votes how he says he's going to, I realized that he's the only person. He's the only one that makes sense. He's the only one that follows the Constitution and does exactly what he says. So why else would I vote for anybody other than Dr. Paul?
Here at home, we are steadily losing our liberties. We're losing our economic liberties. We don't own our own property. We can't use our property unless we pay our taxes and follow all the regulations from not only the federal government, the state government, and local government, but from the UN coming down on us and telling us what we can do on our land. It's a very good reason to support my bill that would get us out of the UN and the IMF. Always get out of control. There's a good intention done by the Food and Drug Administration to make sure your food is safe. Who's against safe food? Everyone's for safe food. But we need the FDA. So now what the FDA is doing and why they feel so compelled to protect you, they will arrest you if you start drinking raw milk that you happen to cross a state border. What is so dangerous about you making your own choice about whether or not you can drink raw milk? I think we ought to vote for the right to drink raw milk.
I kind of discovered Ron Paul pretty early on, and got there quick before Obama could. And in 2012, definitely my feelings have been reconfirmed after years of study and watching and listening and all that good stuff. So here we are, showing support and trying to make things happen for him.
And certainly there can be no doubt about the Republican Party and the country coming around to our views that there's too much spending, too much debt, too much borrowing, and it's time to stop the spending.
We're here today to basically learn information regarding the Republican Party and what it is for us as a student to know so that we can have a better future of the lives of ourselves and the future generations behind us.
I have said many times, as other candidates frequently say, we have to do something. We can't dump this on our children and our grandchildren. I address that slightly differently now because it's the current generation, it's us today that are suffering. We don't have the jobs, people are unemployed and we're getting hit with inflation. We're suffering from the overextension of the wars around the world. So it is today we are suffering from this, and therefore not only should we worry about the next generation, but we have to worry about today's generation. The most precious thing that we can do for our next generation, the debt is a concern, but the most valuable thing that we can give the next generation and allow this generation to have is to have our freedoms back.
When I listened to Ron Paul speak in the debates and when I was a senior in high school, it kind of intrigued me, led me to read a bunch of different people like Mises and Hayek and Rothbard, stuff like that. But I'm here today to support Ron Paul because last year I felt bad because he lost by one vote and I was actually going to go and I ended up canceling. So this is really one of the reasons why I'm here, is because I'm supporting the man who's actually going to bring about true free markets, this corporatism that we have today.
We got into trouble because we believed that we could spend. We had the reserve currency, the world would take our money. They would take the money and we would get the goods and our debt would go up. We spent too much, we borrowed too much, we regulated too much, we printed too much, and we got into a predictable trouble. But guess what we've been doing for 3 years? We're regulating more, we're spending more, the deficit is exploding, we're borrowing more, and the Federal Reserve has unlimited amounts of money flowing into the system, and they think that's going to solve the problem. That will not solve the problem, let me tell you. We need to restore our confidence and belief in a free society and how markets work. We as conservatives are supposed to believe in the free enterprise system. That means you want to get government out of the business of regulating us. I have my way, they quit printing up the money because it's only helping out the rich at the expense of the poor. So I would stop that. But then you say, well, where will the money come from? The money for investment has to come from savings. Well, will there be enough savings? Yes, if we change our tax code. This is serious stuff because we are bankrupt and we are bogged down. We're in 5 wars, and remember, as conservatives, you have to remember what was said many years ago about war. War is the health of the state. If the state is the enemy of liberty, the bigger the government to run your life, to run the economy, the less liberty you have. So war is the health of the state, and we have endless war, and they're continuously going on. All great nations have ended not because of military confrontation. We did not have to confront the Soviets. We let them self-destruct because they spent too much and got bogged down. I would say it's time for us to give up that obligation of being bogged down in so many countries of the world. So there's every reason for us to be encouraged to keep the fight, because that's what America is all about. And besides, it's the law of the land, and it can be found in our Constitution, and we demand respect for it.